Hey everyone, good afternoon. Isn't it a lovely Friday? I'm having obviously a struggle with the Facebook again. Says close unused actions, and I've got everything closed, so I don't know what that means, so we're going to dismiss it. Hopefully it won't interfere with the quality. I wanted to talk to you today about this topic because Lance's death anniversary is next week, and I know a lot of people have wondered how I was doing through the whole year. So I don't know what that entails. I don't know what that means to other people. I'm just kind of going through it to get through it myself. And I've had a long journey in going through the grieving process. I don't think it's any different than any other parent feels. I don't think it's anything different than anyone feels, because there's always that one person that dies, that leaves, but changes everything in our world. It just shifts it to such a degree that we have a struggle with it. It becomes overwhelming, it becomes intense, and you're left face down in the ground thinking that maybe you might never get up again. People ask me, well, if it had been your daughter, would it have been any different? Of course not. I'm very close to both my children. Ironically, the minute that I was pregnant, I mean the second I was pregnant with my daughter, I knew it. It took my son 3 days to make his appearance known to me. It was a gradual, overwhelming, oh my God, I think I'm pregnant. I know I'm pregnant. So it wouldn't have been any different. All of us, my son, my daughter, and I had been together for many lifetimes. Different places and different roles, obviously, but we were spiritually very connected and still are. I went through my own stumbling block. I had many experiences where people didn't quite understand what it was that I was experiencing, in the aspect of they needed to know how I was doing at every moment, but they said, well, I don't know how well connected you are to spirit. And I wanted to say, well, better than you, because you had to ask. You had to make that remark. Of course I'm better connected than you, because I would never dream of making that kind of statement. I can tell you that the greatest psychic, the greatest healer, the greatest medium can't take your pain away. They can't. They don't know what it is that you need to learn from this deathing experience. That's between your spirit and the destiny. And they don't know what lessons. And everybody feels it differently, because it's ours to experience it. No one's going to experience it the same way. So they can't imagine your pain in the same way that you're going to feel it. However, what they can do is the healer can bring you comfort, succor. They can help you through the grieving process with dissipating the anguish and the depression. The psychic can help you with what you're bringing in, so that you don't start creating chaos in your life. And the medium, well, they're the best gift of all, because they can connect you to that person to help you understand why that person passed, even if it's just from a metaphysics standpoint. It doesn't always make sense to me. And I can tell you that my son, I understood why he left before I talked to anybody, and that was because he didn't get any oxygen, and so he wasn't going to come back fully with his cognition in one his faculties were going to be misaligned. He was going to have a brain injury, to be honest, and he loved his daughter and I enough to not make us go through that, because he knew we wouldn't let him go to a group home. That's just not what I would have done. I struggled. If I hadn't signed the lease the year before, or I'm sorry, the week before he passed away, I may have quit. I may have not opened up Resident Essentials. I may have just shut down and retired and been done. Such was my grief. However, all things in good timing, it was my spirit team that kind of said, you need to get these papers signed. You were procrastinating. I was looking for another place. I was actually looking at this place before I moved, but I just signed the papers where I was. I figured, okay, I'll just do it and figure it out. And the struggle was real. So I went in, and about a year later, I had an experience. I was wondering, what am I doing this work for? Why am I even bothering? My grief was such I couldn't feel the same way that I felt. I was blessed with much love and support from people, but I went to go see a physical medium. Ironically, it was Donna that talked to me and said, hey, do you want to go with us? It was the first time, even though I'd been back working with people for a few years, 3 years, first time I was invited to go anywhere, because, I wasn't in the group. I wasn't in the clique. I was an unknown, and I get it. People didn't know who I was or what my capabilities are. And really, I was kind of coming in to stir the pot. And maybe they didn't want the pot stirred. But that was all relative. I went to go see David Thompson, and Lance came through. He's a physical medium. My son stepped through. I smelled him first, and then I held his hands. And I realized that's why we do this work. That was the greatest gift that I could have ever received, was that 3-minute conversation holding my son's hands through ectoplasm that brought me solace on levels that most people could only dream of. I got lucky. I was the chosen one that night. I got my son. And it really created a fuller understanding about why I needed to continue doing my work, my training, not as owner of Resident Essentials and not as a psychic, but as a medium and the mediumship that I'm studying and training in. I now get it. But, going back to that struggle that as a metaphysician, we know that we have we reincarnate. We know we're going to be back. We know we've had lives with these people. We know that we're going to have more lives with these people. We know that when we go back to spirit, I'm probably already having another life experience with him as we speak, because time is relative. And just because we think we're the only ones on this planet having an experience, I could be 200 years in the past or the future on this planet with him. And that's what creates the dimension, the time shift. So these are the things that I do know. However, a friend of mine who had lost his son about 2 years earlier, he and his wife, very dear friends of mine, he said to me, there's one of two things that can happen. You're going to so thoroughly break that you'll be in a million pieces, and you're going to cry, and you're never going to get past that. Or you're going to start to heal, and it takes a while. Now I know why everybody wore the black armband, or they dressed in black, and because the degree of mourning, the person is not rational. When you lose somebody that close to you, you're not rational. I was not didn't have my full faculties. I could function, but at a moment's notice, I could drop into just tears, buckets of tears. And so I got it. I understood what he was saying. And he said something else. He said, and you won't have a choice. Well, as a metaphysician, I was like, hell yeah, I have a choice. Of course I have a choice. I am doing the best that I can possibly do, and I have that choice. And in that choice, that I have, I'm going to have to recognize and start creating a path of healing. So I did. I had recently gone and had another part of my healing process. I had an appointment with a medical intuitive, and she gave me a job to do for 21 days that at first I didn't understand what it was for. I mean, I agreed with everything she said, and I wondered, well, I'm already doing that. And I realized that when I started to do it, it had that was the biggest piece of healing that she gave me. She had me going and leaving notes or objects or things around with people that would change or just give them recognition for who they were. Whether I left a note thanking whoever found the note to have a wonderful day and how important they were in this world. I trusted the universe to have that person step up. And so what it taught me is that while I was giving, sometimes I gave because I didn't want other people to suffer. Who doesn't suffer? And what right do I have to decide in my magnanimous thinking that they don't have to suffer? It also gave me the power of my voice to recognize that what I'm giving, I choose to consciously. And so that gives me the power of my voice. Now, a lot of people may not recognize how important that was for me, but it was more than anything else in the world, that she gave me the power of my voice back. And within a week, I got a new spirit teacher who was coming in to work with my communication through the veil with spirit. And she knew what she was doing. May not have made logic sense to me at the time, but I realized in hindsight, she empowered me to recognize that I can choose who I give to, and I can be heard when I give. Instead of being heard and dismissed for what I give, what I gave had value because I got to choose the value. Now, I may not have heard their words of thank you, but somewhere in there, they heard my words. They heard what I did, and it changed them. So nothing is without a good lesson. She gave me my awareness to me. Something that I had lost through many lifetimes of fighting injustices. I guess I'm one of those weird ones, kind of, the naked woman on the horse. I can't think of her name right now. And anyway, through all of that, through all the steps that I've gone through to work through my healing, there were instances from the get-go in which I could feel him. My daughter and I were sitting in the living room and the door burst open. You know who walks through your door. You know that person that shoves that door open because they do it and everybody opens the door differently. And we knew it was him. I felt him nudge me in the back of my leg. There were times I questioned my sanity and the messages he was giving me. July 4th, I was given a peacock feather at my gate. He had brought me peacocks. I'm going to cry a little. Sorry. I was given peacock feathers by him when he was a kid. So what I'm trying to tell you is that while as a metaphysician you see all the wonderful signs, you're still dealing with mortal emotion. And it's really funny how that reacts with other people, especially if you're hanging out in the metaphysics community. You get a psychics and healers and everybody, and they kept telling me, oh, he's right there with you. He's right there with you. Well, hell, I got to tell you, being honest, he was never with me 24/7 when he was alive. Why would he do that when he was dead? As a metaphysician, I know that he goes into the sleep state like we do. We rebirth into earth. We sleep a lot in order for our senses, our five senses, to adjust to being in here, and our spirit to being in a physical form, in the slower vibration, the lower vibration. We get all that. But I wanted to think that he was with me all the time, but I knew he wasn't, because that's just too easy. Why would I want to trap my son to me in servitude to make me feel better? That's not what metaphysics is about. So no, he wasn't with me 24/7, but there's no time in spirit. So maybe he popped in when we talked about him just to make sure I wasn't going off the deep end. I don't know. I'm sure he did check on me quite a bit at the first year, and the second year a little less, and now here we are, we're coming into the third year. We know that we don't want them not to do their work, because if he's not doing his work, then I'm not doing my work. And my work has to be done because I'm still here. I'm still here. Much as many people, I think I surprised a lot of people because my grief was horrendous. Not only did I lose him, but the next year, during his month of his death anniversary, I lost his truck in a fire. And in November, I lost my dog and his dog. It was not easy these last 3 years. But I'm here. And I didn't trap him by demanding that he show up, because he wouldn't anyway, because that's not who, what, and how he operated. They don't want to see us in pain. That's the truth. The truth is that they're filled with love on the other side. The degree of love probably does vary according to vibration. I can't imagine Jeffrey Dahmer going and singing praises unless it was at the dinner table in some weird, sick way. But I can't judge that, because that's too much for me to think about. All I can say is that they don't want to see us in pain, and they love us through it because they know it's necessary for our growth. If I don't grow, then I'm not any good to the people I'm around today. If I don't move past this, if I don't heal, then I'm not good to my work. And, honestly, there are so many lessons that we can learn in this world. And oftentimes it's about death that we learn it from, because it really rocks us. What we need to remember, it's their death. That was their destiny. Oftentimes we think it's a horrible thing. They shouldn't do it this way. They shouldn't have died that way. We have 1,000,001 reasons why they shouldn't have died the way they did. All because in our selfishness, they shouldn't have frickin' died. And we're still saying, why did you die? I need you here. Well, no, we don't need them here. We need them over there, because they're safe over there. They're not having to go through the mortal pain of rejection, abandonment. They had healed enough that it was their turn to go. And we have to kind of find a way to balance that and celebrate it. Celebrate it. They did what they could in this life. And they took it as far as they could, and it was time for them to go. It is personal to them, but it is not personal to us. We can't take their death personal. I had a friend who told me that she hated God because God took her grandfather from her and left her with her grandmother. And this woman was bitter and angry till, I don't know. I don't even know if she's still alive, but the last time I saw her, she was still very bitter and very angry because her grandfather had died. He was 85 when he died. He had completed his task, and that wasn't something that she could handle because it was personal to her. It's their destiny. And we were blessed because they chose us to share it with. We're blessed because we get to heal from it. I'm sure Lance was very worried if I was going to come through this, because he left a message. He knew his daughter and his sister were going to be okay, but he worried about me. Yeah, I worried about me too. But we struggle and we fight for it. There's something else that I learned through these last 3 years. No one, absolutely no one, will do anything your way unless they have an advantage to balancing out karma. So no matter what I told my son about taking care of his health, he was not going to do it my way. He was going to do it his way. It was his lessons to learn. And as much as I fought the hospital, why didn't he have oxygen? He's bleeding internally. No, he's not an alcoholic. All the things that I fought in the hospital, no one listened, because they didn't find it advantageous to their karmic balancing to do it my way. They found it more advantageous to their own to do it theirs, and I have to accept it. I have to hope that they changed some of the procedures and policies, and they recognized what they had done. I'm just working through that. And I have to understand that people will say, do, and react in a presumptuous way, and they'll do it their way. So we also have to remember that when we're the grieving person, those people that will say, do, and react in a presumptuous way are doing so predicated on their experience. They're reacting to your situation in what you should do, think, say, because of their experience. And you have to love them for it, because obviously there's some trauma in there, something that bites, that they want to shift and change. And so they're trying to help us by telling us how to do it. Giggle and laugh, don't take it personal. People shouldn't presume to know where we're at. People shouldn't presume to understand what we're working on. People shouldn't presume to know what it is that we're experiencing, because they're coming at it from their trauma, not ours. And no one knows our own level of awareness or why we have the relationships that we have. So, quit worrying about what other people are telling you, how you should do it. Embrace the ones that love you through doing it your way, who offer help. You can turn them down. You can do it your way, absolutely. But love the fact that they're offering to help. Anybody's telling you you have to do it their way, maybe not involve them in the next discussion. So I learned through my grief that people respond according to their level of experience. Wow, that one really shocked me. Their level of awareness. When there's a trauma involved, like we all know there's a lot of conspiracy theories going on right now. And in those conspiracy theories, some of us may be going, oh my God. But it's a very real part of them, and they believe they're conspiracies. And the reason they believe that is so that they bring about their own healing. So we can see our own trauma in our reaction to it. When I see conspiracy theories, I just want to run, because I've been gaslit by some really awesome people in my life. And I don't have time for it anymore. I'm like, ugh, please go gaslight somebody else, because I don't have the energy for it. But to them, it's a real happening. So for me, conspiracy, gaslighting; for them, reality. It's neither is wrong, but we make it wrong because we are going to sit in judgment. And they are too. They're going to judge us for where we're at if they feel we judge them. And even if they don't feel we judge them. But it's all good. Just know that it's all predicated on what we need to heal. And we're going to create those situations to create our beliefs so that we come into our knowing. And when we're watching other people and see how they act or react to a given situation, we should stand back and love them through the process. Because honestly, love is the only thing that helps the healing. Encouraging victimhood, encouraging bullying, encouraging being a savior, go in and rescue that person, doesn't help. It just interferes, and it creates a very imbalanced situation, and it takes even longer for people to heal. So love them. Love them. Give them all the love and support you can possibly give, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to love each other enough to see each other fail, so that when we succeed, we can still love them and not be jealous of them, but celebrate their defeat and their success, because they're amazing that they're even trying. So we know whatever we believe, we need to believe it so we can heal it. Doesn't matter, conspiracies, narcissism, victim, savior, healed, healer, mother, father, son, doesn't matter. The minute we judge it, we set it up for us to become it. So, think about what you're judging. Oh, I hate those people who are like this. Guess what? Zoom, there you go. You're going to have an experience in which you're going to experience what you judged about those people. Those people. How silly is that? If we don't like those people, we're going to become them, so we learn to understand them. Again, love conquers all. In closing, I want to tell you, a friend of mine lost her daughter, and it was recent, and I've been thinking a lot about her because I went off the deep end and made many grieving posts about the lack of health care in this country and the treatment my son had gone through, and I needed that as a cathartic way of healing the very basics. I needed people to hear my pain, and it was well for me. When you see someone that has lost someone and their heart is up in their throat and the pin is mightier than the sword and they're ripping it out and telling the anguish and sorrow, stop before you type, sending prayers, sending love, and say something in the back space. Is there anything I can do to help you? Do you need someone to talk to? Can I bring you food? And check in. If they're really good friends of yours, if they're really good relations of yours, check in. And don't leave it at 6 months or a year, because that's just the part they're in cluster. Keep it going, because we're here to love each other. We're here to understand and help the healing. We're all healers if we choose to be. So yes, I miss my son. And each day I can choose to continue so I can do my work, or I can choose to give up. And every day I make a choice. And sometimes I give up. Sometimes you find me on the couch, flipping through channels, or sitting on the porch staring into nothing. So yes, sometimes I choose to give up. But know this, every day that I live and I do my work brings healing to my entire family. Because as I heal me, I heal the generations above and the generations below. And every day that passes brings me closer to Him. And I'm not talking about my own death. I'm talking about being able to feel Him when I want to and have conversations with Him when we want to. Because He was just that kind of guy. He always showed up when you needed Him most. So, with that being said, my heart to all of yours. I wish you well on your journey. I just wanted you to be a part of the celebration of my son's life next week. And this is how I'm choosing to do it. Bye now.